Your worth does not depend on how much others love you. It begins with how deeply you love yourself. When you prioritize everyone else and forget yourself, you lose the most important relationship you will ever have. True happiness starts when you stop seeking approval and start giving yourself the care and respect you deserve. Today we will talk about why learning to love yourself more than anyone else is the greatest gift you can give to your life. Loving yourself does not mean ignoring others, it means recognizing that you cannot pour from an empty cup. When you value your own needs, you build confidence, strength, and inner peace that nothing can take away. This is not selfishness, it is self-respect. It is the foundation for healthy relationships, success, and real happiness. If you're ready to embrace who you are and put yourself first without guilt, then let's dive in. Number 1, start each day by appreciating your own presence. Most people wake up and the first thing they feel is pressure. Pressure to be better. Pressure to prove something. Pressure to keep up. You check your phone and you see people who seem to have it all figured out. You scroll through lives that look happier, more successful, more perfect. And then, before you even get out of bed, you already feel like you're behind, like you're not enough. And that's the problem. That's the starting point for most people. But here's the truth. When you wake up and the first voice you hear isn't your own, when your first thought is about someone else's life, you start the day disowning your own. And that's no way to live. If you want to love yourself more than anyone else ever could, you have to stop outsourcing your worth and start honoring your own presence. You are not here to chase acceptance. You are not here to meet invisible expectations. You are here, alive, breathing, feeling, thinking, dreaming, and that matters. It matters more than your likes, your job title, your relationship status. It matters more than what anyone else thinks of you. You see, appreciation isn't just something you give to others. It's something you owe to yourself. The moment you open your eyes, that's your moment. That's your reset, and you have to claim it. Not with noise, not with distraction, but with presence, with quiet acknowledgement that you are here, and that is enough to be proud of. So take a breath before you do anything else. Pause before you dive into your day, and recognize yourself, not your flaws, not your checklist, just you. You've survived so much. You've carried more than anyone knows. You've shown up when it was hard. That deserves recognition. Not once in a while. Not when you hit a goal. Every day. First thing in the morning, before the world gets a piece of you, give something to yourself. The way you start your morning determines the way you carry yourself through the rest of your day. If the first voice you hear is full of criticism, if the first thought you feel is anxiety, you'll move through life chasing peace instead of living in it. But when you start the day with appreciation for your own existence, something powerful happens. You stop needing approval. You stop comparing. You stop performing. You stop begging the world to love you because you've already chosen to love yourself. That kind of energy changes how you walk, how you talk, how you respond, and how you treat others. It creates a different version of you, one that's not built on insecurity but on truth. Some people will go their entire lives without ever feeling good enough, not because they aren't, but because they never learned how to appreciate who they are outside of what they do. You are not your productivity. You are not your performance. You are not a number or a role. You are a person, a whole, imperfect, growing person. And every day that you wake up, that person is still here. That deserves a moment of gratitude, not a grand gesture. Just a quiet moment to say, I see you, I value you, I'm proud of you. That's it. And when you do that, when you make it a daily habit to appreciate your own presence, your self-worth becomes real. Not a concept, not a motivational quote. Real, lived, felt. Too many people are kind to others and cruel to themselves. They lift everyone up but ignore their own needs. They show compassion to strangers but speak to themselves with harshness and shame. That imbalance eats away at your soul. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you shouldn't have to. Loving yourself means recognizing that your needs, your presence, Your emotions, they matter too. And the best way to reinforce that truth is to start your day by honoring yourself. This isn't about ego. It's not about arrogance. It's not about pretending to be perfect. It's about recognizing the value of simply being you. Even with all your mess, even with all your struggles, even with all your past mistakes, you're still here. You still care. You're still trying. That deserves more credit than you've been giving it. That deserves appreciation, not just from the world, but from you. The reason most people never fully love themselves is because they never give themselves permission to. They're waiting for a big win or someone else's praise or a breakthrough moment. But self-love doesn't work like that. It's not something you earn, it's something you choose. And the best time to choose it is in the morning, before the world tells you who to be. Start your day not with comparison, not with criticism, but with appreciation. Stand in the mirror if you need to. Say it out loud if you have to. But make it real. Make it felt. Not because everything in your life is perfect, but because you're worth loving exactly as you are. You have to start being proud of the way you get up and face the day, even when things feel heavy. You have to stop brushing off your own effort like it's no big deal. It is a big deal. You're doing life without all the answers. You're trying in a world that doesn't always reward kindness or honesty or authenticity. That takes strength. That takes heart. And that deserves appreciation. From the second you wake up, if you don't set your own tone for the day, the world will set it for you. And the world isn't always kind. That's why your first job every morning is to remind yourself of who you are, not who you're supposed to be, not who they want you to be, just you, as you are, right now. That's the foundation of real self-love. It's not built in grand achievements. It's built in the little moments you give to yourself, the small acts of recognition that tell your mind and your heart, you matter. When you do that long enough, you start showing up different. You stop needing to prove yourself all the time. You stop breaking yourself just to meet expectations that were never yours. You walk into rooms without shrinking. You speak without apologizing. You rest without guilt. You love yourself more, not because you've become someone better, but because you finally saw the value in who you already are. That's the truth most people never hear. They keep waiting for life to tell them they're worthy. But life doesn't hand that out. You have to give it to yourself. And it starts every single day, the moment you open your eyes. Appreciate your own presence, not just when it's convenient, not just when you succeed, but always. Because loving yourself more than anyone else ever could begins with choosing yourself, first thing in the morning, before anything else tries to pull you away. Number 2, write down 3 things you love about yourself. Most people wake up and their mind immediately picks apart everything they're not. They look in the mirror and all they see are flaws. They remember the things they didn't finish yesterday, the conversations they wish had gone better, the way they felt overlooked, ignored, or not enough. This is the silent war happening inside so many people's heads, and it never really stops until you learn to take control of the voice that's been so conditioned to criticize. It's not that you aren't good enough. It's that no one taught you to stop, sit down, and actually name the things that are good about you. Most people have been trained to be humble to the point of silence. They feel guilty saying what they like about themselves. But self-love isn't arrogance. It's awareness. And if you can't say out loud, or better yet, write down 3 things you love about yourself, you've already disconnected from who you really are. Think about that for a moment. If I asked you right now to list 3 things you genuinely admire in yourself, how long would it take? Would you struggle to come up with them? Would you second-guess each one, wondering if it counts enough? That's the problem. You've gotten used to giving credit to everyone but yourself. You cheer for others, but you barely recognize your own strength. It's time to change that, one small practice at a time. And it starts with grabbing a pen and making a list not of things you wish you were, not of things you want to improve, but of things you already love about who you are right now. This isn't just an exercise. It's a statement to your mind. A way of taking space back from years of quiet self-doubt. When you write something down, you make it real. You bring it into the physical world. And that has power, because the moment you see your strengths on paper, your compassion, your loyalty, your sense of humor, your resilience, your patience, your ability to keep going when life knocked you down, you start to build a clearer, truer picture of yourself. Not the one based on insecurity, not the one based on what people say, but the one that reflects your truth. Writing down what you love about yourself is also a way to reset your mental focus. Most people live on autopilot, and their thoughts follow the path of least resistance. Usually that means criticism, fear, and comparison. But when you sit down every morning or every night and ask yourself, what do I love about me? You're rewiring that pattern. You're saying to your brain, focus on strength, focus on goodness, focus on who I am, not just what I lack. And the more you do that, the more your self-perception begins to shift in a powerful way. You might feel uncomfortable at first. Maybe it'll feel awkward. That's okay. Most things worth doing feel strange in the beginning. But don't let discomfort stop you from discovering the value of who you are. Even if the first time you do it, all you can write is, I care about people, I try my best, I have a strong work ethic. That's a start. That's enough. And over time, that list will grow. You'll begin to notice more and more things you like about yourself. Things you've been overlooking for years because no one ever told you to stop and pay attention. The most successful people I've known, emotionally, personally, professionally, they all have one thing in common. They know their worth, and they don't wait for others to point it out. They speak it. They own it. They reinforce it daily. And they do it with intention, because the world will always have opinions. But those opinions can't shake a foundation that's been built on truth. And your truth, your inner strength, your personal value that needs to be written down and reminded every single day. If you're always waiting for someone else to notice your good qualities, you'll live in a constant state of emotional hunger. You'll need compliments like oxygen. You'll doubt yourself every time someone withdraws their praise. That's why this practice matters so much. Because it brings the power back to you. It reminds you that you're allowed to like who you are without permission. You don't need to earn it. You don't need to perform for it. You just need to pause and write it down. Say it clearly. These are the things I love about myself. And then let that list speak to you louder than your fear ever has. And don't wait until you feel perfect to do this. You don't need to be at your best to love something about yourself. You don't need to be healed, complete, or successful to recognize your light. In fact, doing this on your hardest days might be when you need it the most. Maybe you'll write, I keep trying, even when it's hard. Maybe it's, I still care about others, even when I'm hurting. Or maybe it's, I'm showing up right now when I could have given up. These are not small things. These are not throwaway lines. They are evidence of who you are at your core. And that's what self-love is built on. This practice also creates clarity. Because when you know what you love about yourself, you naturally start living more in alignment with it. If you write down, I'm honest, you'll notice when you're not. If you write, I'm kind, you'll make decisions that match that value. Self-awareness sharpens your choices, and clarity creates confidence. Not the loud, fake kind, the quiet, steady kind that says, I know who I am, and I don't need to apologize for it. Over time, this list becomes something more than just a piece of paper. It becomes your foundation. On days when you feel unsure, you come back to it. On days when you feel invisible, you read it again. It reminds you of what matters. It keeps you grounded, and it protects you from slipping back into the trap of defining yourself by your mistakes, your appearance, or your temporary setbacks. Because when you've written down your truths, your real, raw, powerful truths, they become harder to forget. You deserve to have a relationship with yourself that's built on respect, not neglect. On appreciation, not criticism. On truth, not insecurity. But that relationship doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you do the work consistently, intentionally, and with heart. So sit down, every morning or every night, and write 3 things. 3 things you love about who you are, not because anyone else said them, not because you're trying to be someone you're not, but because you've lived enough life to recognize what makes you special. It's time to stop acting like you don't matter. It's time to stop hoping someone else sees you. Start seeing yourself. Start naming your strengths. Start documenting your worth. Not for ego, not for show, for you. Because if you don't remind yourself who you are, the world will convince you that you're less. And you're not. You're enough. You're valuable. You're growing. And every day, you have a chance to remember that in the simplest way possible by writing down what you love about the person you're becoming. Number 3, speak kind words to yourself in the mirror. There are moments in life when the silence in your own mind becomes louder than the voices around you. And too often that silence isn't peaceful. It's full of judgment. You walk by a mirror, and instead of seeing a human being worthy of love and compassion, you see everything you think is wrong with you. You focus on the blemishes, the scars, the tired eyes, the body you've been told should look different. Most people never stop to challenge that voice. They live years, decades, even without ever offering themselves the same kindness they give to others. And it leaves them empty, insecure, and constantly seeking external approval that never truly satisfies. But there is one simple, powerful habit that can begin to shift this inner experience, one that costs nothing, takes only a few minutes, but can completely change the way you feel about yourself. Speak kind words to yourself in the mirror, every day. At first, it may feel uncomfortable. You may look at your own reflection and feel nothing. Or worse, you might hear the critical voice get louder, trying to dismiss what you're saying. That's expected. You've spent years feeding that voice with doubts, shame, and comparisons. But this practice isn't about pretending. It's not about reciting fake positivity. It's about breaking a harmful cycle of self-neglect and replacing it with conscious, consistent care. You're not just looking at your face. You're looking at your story. You're seeing someone who's been through pain, someone who's carried responsibilities, someone who's still here despite it all. That person needs to be acknowledged. That person needs to be spoken to with kindness. This is not about vanity. It's not about inflating your ego. It's about recognizing that the way you speak to yourself becomes the foundation of how you live your life. If you wake up every day and tell yourself you're not enough, not smart enough, not attractive enough, not successful enough, how can you possibly walk through the world with confidence or peace? But if you look at yourself and say, you are worthy, you are strong, you are trying, and that is something to be proud of, something shifts inside you. You start treating yourself with more patience. You start making choices that reflect value instead of desperation. Kind words don't erase your struggles, but they change your relationship with them. They give you space to breathe. They remind you that even when you feel behind or broken, you are still human. You are still trying. You are still learning, and that deserves more grace, not more pressure. Most people don't realize how harsh they've been with themselves until they finally hear something gentle, until they finally say, I love you, I'm proud of you, I believe in you, and feel the emotions swell in their chest, not because everything is perfect, but because those words are finally being spoken after years of inner silence. You might feel silly at first. You might even want to laugh it off. But that's just resistance. It's your old programming trying to keep you stuck. Push through it. Keep going. Look yourself in the eyes, not the flaws, not the hair, not the shape of your body. Look into your eyes, where your truth lives. That's where the healing begins. Say something honest. Say something encouraging. Say something you wish someone else had said to you when you needed it most. And then keep doing it day after day until that kindness starts to feel natural. This isn't about repeating the same phrases. It's about speaking from the heart. Some days you might say, I'm proud of how I handled that situation. Other days it might be, I forgive you for not being perfect. And some days, all you might be able to say is, "I'm still here," and that's enough. The goal isn't to impress yourself. The goal is to build a relationship with yourself that's honest and loving, and that takes time. That takes presence. But most of all, it takes the courage to look at yourself and not turn away. When you speak kindly to yourself in the mirror, you interrupt the pattern of automatic self-criticism that so many people fall into. You stop running on default and begin leading with intention. Over time, those moments in front of the mirror become a sacred space, a checkpoint for your mind and your emotions. You'll begin to notice when your thoughts are out of alignment with how you want to feel, and you'll have a tool, a habit to realign. Not by escaping reality, but by supporting yourself through it. Imagine the version of you who grows up never hearing anything positive from the outside world, but still builds confidence because of what they hear from within. That's not fantasy. That's what happens when you make it a habit to speak life into your reflection. And this kind of confidence can't be shaken by opinions or setbacks. It's grounded in truth, in self-respect, in a daily decision to be kind, even when it would be easier to tear yourself apart. You don't need a special reason to speak kindly to yourself. You don't need to wait until you accomplish something big. You don't need to be in a good mood. You just need to show up every day, even if it's only for 1 minute. Even if all you can say is, "I'm doing the best I can." Those words matter. They echo inside you. They start to change how you see yourself when no one's watching. And that's where true self-love lives, in the quiet, private moments when you choose not to abandon yourself. Eventually, you begin to feel more grounded. You begin to carry yourself differently. You respond to stress with more self-control. You take criticism less personally. You stop needing to prove yourself all the time. And it's not because your life suddenly became easy. It's because you've become your own source of encouragement. That's the power of words. That's the power of looking in the mirror and choosing to lift yourself up instead of pulling yourself down. Think of how you speak to your closest friend when they're struggling. You don't call them weak. You don't list everything they've done wrong. You don't mock them for being human. You comfort them. You remind them of who they are. You speak with love. Now imagine doing that for yourself every single day. You deserve that kind of love too. And no one else can give it to you in the same way you can. So the next time you walk past the mirror, stop, pause, don't rush by, don't ignore yourself. Take a breath, look into your own eyes, and say something kind. Say something you would want your younger self to hear. Say something your future self will be proud of. And let those words sink in. Because the person staring back at you has survived so much. They've earned kindness. They've earned respect. They've earned love from you first. Number 4, forgive your past mistakes and release the guilt. There are people walking around every single day, smiling, laughing, pretending everything is fine, but inside they're dragging a weight behind them that no one can see. That weight is guilt. That weight is shame. That weight is the memory of past decisions they wish they could change, words they wish they never said, and chances they didn't take. And the hardest part isn't even the mistake itself. It's the way they punish themselves for it over and over again. Quietly, silently, constantly. The world has moved on, but they haven't. They replay moments in their mind like a broken record. And every time it plays, it steals a little more peace from their present. That's what guilt does. That's what unforgiveness looks like when it's turned inward. Most people think forgiving themselves means saying, "It's okay that I hurt someone," or "It doesn't matter that I failed." But self-forgiveness isn't about justifying what happened. It's about choosing not to live in permanent punishment. It's about realizing that holding on to guilt doesn't heal anything. It just hardens your heart against yourself. You can't grow when you believe you're unworthy. You can't love yourself deeply if part of you still believes you deserve to suffer for what's already over. And here's something real. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone has moments they regret. The difference is, some people learn from them and move forward. Others live in them and keep reliving the pain. But you can't build a future if you're emotionally chained to your past. You can't create peace in your life if you're still trying to repay for mistakes that no amount of guilt will ever erase. Guilt doesn't redeem anything. It only robs you of today. Forgiveness is not a pass. Forgiveness is a path. You have to sit with yourself and be honest. Ask yourself, what mistake am I still carrying? You already know the answer. It's the memory that comes up every time something reminds you. It's that sting in your chest when someone brings up a certain topic. It's the silence you fall into when you start remembering how you wish things went differently. That's the place you need to go, not to judge. Not to beat yourself up again, but to tell yourself enough. You've carried it long enough. You've suffered long enough. You've punished yourself in ways no one even knows. It's time to let it go. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. You'll remember. That's part of being human. But there's a difference between remembering and reliving. When you forgive yourself, you take the memory and remove its power to hurt you anymore. You don't let it define you. You don't let it shrink your sense of worth. You take the lesson and leave the pain behind. That's what healing is. Not erasing the past, but no longer letting it poison your present. Some people hold on to guilt because they think it's a form of responsibility. They believe that by staying hurt, they're proving they care. But carrying guilt doesn't make you noble. It makes you stuck. True responsibility means making amends when you can, learning the lesson and becoming a better version of yourself because of it, not staying broken out of some twisted sense of duty. Growth requires grace, and grace starts with forgiveness. It doesn't matter how long it's been. Some of you are still carrying guilt from 5, 10, even 20 years ago. Maybe it was a relationship you damaged. Maybe it was a dream you gave up on. Maybe it was something you did when you didn't know better. But you do know better now, and that's what matters. You're not the same person. You've grown. You've matured. You've suffered. You've learned. And you deserve the freedom to live your life without that weight chaining you to who you used to be. Sometimes you have to say it out loud to yourself. I made mistakes, but I'm not my mistakes. I hurt people, but I'm not only the pain I caused. I failed, but I'm not a failure. I didn't know better then, but I do now, and that's what I choose to live from. Say it. Write it. Let it sink in. Because as long as guilt is steering the wheel, love can't lead. You can't be whole if you're still punishing yourself piece by piece. The healing starts when you stop hiding from your past. When you face it with honesty and compassion. Not with denial, but with ownership. Say, yes, I did that, and I regret it, but I'm done letting it control my worth. And then take one step forward. Do one kind thing for yourself. Make one decision that reflects who you are becoming, not who you used to be. Because that's where your power is, in what you choose now. Most people are waiting for something outside of them to give them permission to forgive themselves. Maybe they're hoping someone else will finally say, it's okay, or that something will happen that makes it all feel resolved. But no one else can give you that. Forgiveness is something you must decide to give to yourself. Even if no one else does. Even if they never understand how much it hurt you too. You have to free yourself. And once you do, you'll feel something you haven't felt in a long time: lightness. You'll feel space where there used to be shame. You'll feel peace in places where anxiety used to live. And you'll start seeing yourself not as damaged, but as human. Not as unforgivable, but as growing. And that is a beautiful place to build from. Because when you forgive yourself, you open the door to new beginnings. You stop seeing yourself as someone who needs to hide. You show up differently. You love more freely. You make choices from a place of hope instead of fear. That's what guilt takes from you: hope. And that's what forgiveness gives back. So, if you've been living with guilt, know this: you don't have to anymore. You don't have to keep carrying something that's already done. You don't have to keep shrinking because of who you used to be. You can forgive yourself today. You can say, I deserve peace. And then you can live like it. Not because the past didn't happen, but because your future deserves better than a life lived in self-punishment. And so do you. Number 5, set healthy boundaries without feeling any guilt. There's a quiet pain that follows people who never learn to say no. They feel stretched thin, emotionally exhausted, and mentally overwhelmed, not because they don't care, but because they've spent too long trying to be everything to everyone. They give in to requests they don't agree with. They say yes to things they don't have energy for. They keep the peace on the outside while slowly breaking down on the inside. And the worst part is, they think this is what being a good person looks like. They think self-sacrifice is the price of love. That's how a lot of people are raised, to put others first at all costs. But the truth is, when you abandon yourself for the sake of others, you're not loving them more, you're loving yourself less. And that imbalance never ends well. Most people don't know how to set boundaries because they're afraid of what will happen if they do. They fear rejection. They fear being misunderstood. They fear being labeled selfish. But here's what most people miss. Boundaries aren't walls. They're not about pushing people away. They're about making space for healthy connection. When you have boundaries, you're not saying, "I don't care." You're saying, "I care enough about myself to protect my energy, my time, and my peace." And that is not selfish. That is necessary. If you want to love yourself more than anyone else can, you have to start by honoring your limits. You are not a machine. You are not built to constantly give without rest, without pause, without consideration of your own needs. And every time you say yes to something that drains you, that pulls you away from yourself, that puts your well-being last, you are reinforcing the lie that your needs don't matter. But they do. Deeply, consistently, equally. Boundaries are how you remind yourself and others that you are a whole person, not a resource. Not a convenience, not an emotional dumping ground. You are someone who matters. Someone with a right to say, "I can't do this right now," or "This doesn't feel right for me," or "I need time to think." You don't owe anyone constant access to your time or your energy. And if that upsets people, it's often a sign they were benefiting from your lack of boundaries, not your love. Think about how often you've gone along with something just to avoid guilt. You didn't want to disappoint. You didn't want to seem rude, so you said yes while your gut was screaming no. And after it was over, you were the one left feeling used, resentful, or overwhelmed. That guilt you're trying to avoid, that's not your intuition. That's conditioning. You were trained to feel bad for protecting yourself. But that guilt doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means you're growing. And growth is uncomfortable. The real work begins when you stop confusing guilt with wrongdoing. When you realize that discomfort doesn't mean danger. Sometimes it just means you're stepping into a new way of living, one that's based on truth instead of people-pleasing. And when you start setting boundaries, something powerful happens. You begin to feel lighter. You start reclaiming time. You start enjoying silence again. You get to focus on what you value. And you learn that real relationships, honest ones, don't collapse under boundaries. They grow stronger. Setting boundaries is not about confrontation. It's about clarity. It's about knowing what you can give, what you can't, and being willing to communicate that without shame. It's about saying, "This is who I am. This is what I need. And I'm not going to apologize for it." And yes, some people won't understand. Some will resist. But that doesn't make your boundary wrong. Not everyone is supposed to stay in your life forever. Some people were only ever comfortable with a version of you that didn't have boundaries, and that version is gone. The people who love you will adjust. They will respect your voice, even if they don't always agree. And those who don't, let them go, because no amount of self-betrayal will ever keep the wrong people in your life. You don't need to shrink yourself to be accepted. You need to honor yourself to be free. A healthy boundary could be as simple as saying no to a favor you don't have time for. It could be choosing not to answer work emails after a certain hour. It could mean declining invitations that leave you feeling drained. It could mean taking space from people who constantly criticize or invalidate you. It could mean not explaining yourself for every decision you make. Boundaries are not one size fits all. They are deeply personal. And the only person who can define them is you. And remember, boundaries are not a one-time announcement. They're an ongoing practice. You will need to reinforce them. You will need to stand firm, even when it's uncomfortable. But with every boundary you set, you teach people how to treat you. More importantly, you teach yourself how to treat you. So if you've spent years overgiving, over-explaining, over-accommodating, now is the time to pause. Ask yourself, what parts of my life feel out of balance? Where am I saying yes when I really mean no? Where am I giving out of obligation instead of choice? And then start small. You don't have to change everything overnight, but start somewhere. Start with one boundary. Start with one honest conversation. Start with one act of self-respect. Your peace matters. Your energy is sacred. Your time is not infinite. And the people who truly care about you, who see your heart, your effort, your humanity, they will understand. They will meet you halfway. They will grow with you. But even if they don't, you still deserve to protect yourself. You've given enough away to earn love. Now it's time to love yourself enough to stop giving what you no longer have. Boundaries are not a punishment, they're a declaration. A declaration that says, I'm not going to keep abandoning myself for approval. I'm not going to keep pouring from an empty cup. I'm not going to keep living small so others feel comfortable. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to take space. You are allowed to choose peace without guilt, without explanation, without regret. This is what self-love in action looks like, not just soft words or self-care routines, but strong choices, bold choices, choices that say, I matter. And when you start living from that place, everything changes. The way you walk, the way you speak, the way you rest, the way you connect. Because now, you're no longer living to avoid guilt. You're living to protect peace. And that is the kind of life that lets you breathe again. That's the life you deserve. Number 6. Stop comparing your life with anyone else's journey. One of the most exhausting traps many people fall into is the relentless comparison game. It's an unspoken epidemic. A silent thief that steals joy and breeds dissatisfaction in even the happiest moments. Almost everyone has experienced the sharp sting of envy when scrolling through social media, watching others' highlight reels parade in front of their eyes, making their own life feel somehow less vibrant or worthy. This comparison isn't just about jealousy, it's a constant, subtle judgment that we impose on ourselves, telling our story is less interesting, less successful, less complete than someone else's. But the truth, the painful and freeing truth, is that your journey is completely unique and incomparable. When you compare your path to someone else's, you're trying to measure yourself with a ruler built for another person's experience, and it will never fit. What most people don't realize is that comparing yourself to others is not only unfair, but it also blinds you to the growth and richness of your own story. You begin to doubt your choices, undervalue your progress, and lose sight of your purpose because you're distracted by someone else's narrative. This constant comparison chips away at your confidence, making you believe you're not enough just as you are. The reality is that everyone's life has unseen struggles, unseen setbacks, and hidden battles. No one's journey is perfect or flawless. Social media and public success stories show only fragments, carefully curated and polished moments designed to impress or inspire, but they rarely reveal the messy, painful, and human parts of the journey. When you stop comparing, you open the door to something profoundly healing, a sense of peace with yourself and your pace. Instead of feeling rushed or left behind, you start seeing your progress for what it is, a reflection of your efforts, your values, and your timing. Your growth doesn't need to match anyone else's calendar or milestones. Your worth isn't determined by how your achievements stack up next to someone else's accolades. Every person's path is shaped by unique circumstances, opportunities, and lessons. What works for someone else won't necessarily work for you, and that's not a failure. It's a sign that your life is authentically yours. Breaking free from comparison requires a conscious shift in mindset. It means recognizing when you're caught in the cycle and intentionally redirecting your attention. Instead of scrolling through endless feeds, ask yourself, what am I truly feeling right now? What do I need to focus on in my own life? This practice helps you reconnect with your inner compass, the subtle guidance that points you toward your own growth, not someone else's. It's about cultivating gratitude for your own strengths, experiences, and opportunities, no matter how big or small they may seem compared to others. Another crucial element is to redefine success on your own terms. When you stop comparing, you begin to ask, what does success mean to me, rather than adopting society's narrow standards? Maybe success for you is a calm mind, a loving family, or the freedom to pursue your passions. Maybe it's a slow and steady improvement in your emotional health, or a small creative project that lights you up. These things don't always get the spotlight in mainstream culture, but they are deeply meaningful. When you honor your own definition of success, you reclaim your power and stop chasing someone else's version of happiness. This journey is not about arrogance or thinking you're better than others. It's about humility and self-respect. It's about acknowledging that your path, with all its twists and turns, is valuable and worthy of your attention. When you stop comparing, you also stop competing in a race you were never meant to run. You stop trying to fit into molds that don't align with your soul. You stop wasting energy on what others are doing and start investing it in becoming the best version of yourself. This is how true confidence is born, not from external validation, but from internal acceptance. You may notice that when you stop comparing, your relationships change too. You become less jealous, less resentful, and more supportive of others because you realize their success doesn't diminish yours. You start celebrating others' wins without feeling threatened because you understand that there is enough space for everyone to thrive. This shift transforms how you connect, bringing more genuine joy and kindness into your interactions. It's a ripple effect that spreads from inside you to the world around you. The process isn't easy or instant. For many, comparison is deeply ingrained, a habit formed over years or decades. It takes practice and patience to rewire your brain to see your life without judgment. When you catch yourself slipping back into old patterns, don't beat yourself up. Instead, gently remind yourself that your worth is not tied to anyone else's journey. Affirm your unique gifts, your resilience, your potential. This is the foundation of self-love. Imagine waking up each day free from the heavy burden of comparison. Imagine looking at your life and feeling gratitude for the lessons learned, the progress made, and the possibilities ahead. Imagine valuing yourself not because of how you measure up, but simply because you exist. That vision is not a distant dream. It can start today, in this very moment, with the choice to stop comparing and start appreciating your own remarkable story. Let go of the illusion that anyone else's path is better or easier. Your journey, with all its imperfections and victories, is exactly where you need to be. And in that acceptance, you will find a peace that no external achievement or approval can ever provide. This is the freedom that comes from honoring your own journey, and it is the foundation of true self-love. Number 7. Spend time alone doing things that make you happy. Loneliness often carries a negative stigma, making many people feel uncomfortable or even fearful at the thought of spending time alone. In reality, solitude is a powerful and necessary ingredient for true self-love and personal growth. Most people rush through life, constantly surrounded by noise, distractions, and demands from others, leaving little room to truly connect with themselves. When was the last time you intentionally carved out moments just for you, without feeling guilty or restless? This is not about isolation or loneliness. It's about choosing to be with yourself in a way that nurtures your spirit and replenishes your inner well-being. The truth is, when you spend quality time alone doing what makes you happy, you cultivate a deeper understanding and appreciation of who you are beyond external influences and social roles. Spending time alone allows your mind to slow down and your heart to catch up. In the quiet, you can hear your true thoughts and feelings that often get drowned out by the chaos of daily life. Whether it's reading a book, walking in nature, painting, writing, or simply sitting quietly with a cup of tea, these moments create a sacred space where you reconnect with your passions and desires. Most people underestimate the power of solitude because they confuse it with boredom or loneliness. But solitude is actually a sanctuary where your creativity flourishes and your emotional wounds begin to heal. When you consistently prioritize your happiness in solitude, you build a strong foundation of self-reliance and emotional resilience that no one else can give you. However, learning to enjoy your own company is not always easy. Many people are so accustomed to seeking validation, entertainment, or distraction from others that they feel lost or anxious when alone. This discomfort often stems from unresolved fears, past wounds, or the habit of avoiding introspection. The challenge is to embrace solitude with curiosity and kindness, allowing yourself to explore your inner world without judgment or expectation. This process can be uncomfortable at first, but it ultimately leads to profound personal insight and emotional freedom. The more you spend time alone doing what lights you up, the more you realize that your happiness doesn't depend on anyone else's presence or approval. Another crucial aspect of spending time alone is the ability to listen deeply to your needs and desires. In the hustle of social interactions, it's easy to lose touch with what truly fulfills you. When alone, you can ask yourself honest questions. What activities bring me joy? What dreams have I shelved because of fear or obligation? What boundaries do I need to set to protect my peace? These reflections open the door to intentional living, where your choices align with your authentic self rather than external pressures. Many people discover passions and talents during these quiet moments that they never realized existed, and nurturing these interests becomes a vital part of loving themselves more fully. It's also important to remember that spending time alone does not mean cutting off from the world or rejecting relationships. It simply means honoring the need to recharge and reconnect internally so you can show up more fully in your relationships and responsibilities. When you regularly engage in activities that make you happy in solitude, you bring a calmer, more centered version of yourself to the people around you. This balance between solitude and connection is essential for emotional health, preventing burnout and fostering genuine intimacy with others. People who cultivate joyful alone time often report feeling more confident, less anxious, and more satisfied with life overall. Practically speaking, carving out alone time requires intention and sometimes a shift in priorities. It may mean setting aside time each day or week to do something just for you, even if it's a short walk or 5 minutes of mindful breathing. It might involve saying no to social obligations that don't nourish you, or creating physical space in your home that invites solitude and comfort. The key is consistency. Regularly honoring your own happiness through solitude builds a powerful habit of self-care. Over time, you'll notice that this practice not only enriches your life, but also strengthens your relationship with yourself in ways that no external validation or distraction ever could. Imagine the freedom of being so comfortable in your own company that you no longer fear silence or stillness. Imagine approaching your days with a sense of curiosity about what you want and need, rather than feeling rushed or pressured to please others. This deep, ongoing relationship with yourself is the cornerstone of true self-love. When you spend time alone doing things that bring you joy, you affirm your worth and nourish your soul. It's a radical act of kindness toward yourself in a world that often demands your attention be elsewhere. This practice empowers you to live a life that feels authentic, fulfilling, and deeply connected to the essence of who you truly are. In conclusion, spending time alone, doing what makes you happy, is not a luxury, but a necessity for emotional well-being and self-love. It invites you to slow down, listen, and rediscover the parts of yourself that may have been neglected or ignored. The discomfort you might feel at first is temporary, but the rewards of solitude are lasting and transformative. By dedicating time to yourself without guilt or distraction, you reclaim your power and cultivate a life filled with joy, peace, and self-respect. This journey is an essential step toward becoming the person you were always meant to be: whole, content, and beautifully connected to your own happiness. Number 8. Celebrate small wins like they really matter. In a world obsessed with big achievements and constant progress, it's easy to overlook the small victories that truly shape our journey. Most people get caught in a relentless cycle of pushing for more success, more recognition, more validation, only to feel exhausted and empty when the milestones don't come fast enough. The harsh reality is that waiting for monumental breakthroughs to celebrate your worth can leave you feeling inadequate and disconnected from your own growth. Recognizing and honoring small wins is not just about boosting morale, it's about rewiring your mindset to appreciate every step forward, no matter how seemingly insignificant. These little moments of triumph are the building blocks of confidence, resilience, and lasting self-love, and ignoring them means missing out on countless opportunities to nourish your soul. Small wins are powerful because they create momentum. When you pause to acknowledge even the tiniest progress, your brain releases positive chemicals like dopamine, which motivate you to keep going. This biochemical feedback loop is crucial for sustaining long-term growth and preventing burnout. Many people underestimate how transformative celebrating these moments can be because they feel trivial compared to their grand ambitions. However, every great achievement is a collection of small, consistent efforts that were recognized and valued along the way. Whether it's completing a challenging task, making a healthy choice, or simply getting out of bed on a difficult day, these moments deserve your full attention and celebration. By giving yourself permission to rejoice in these wins, you create a nurturing environment where self-encouragement thrives. The habit of celebrating small wins also shifts your focus away from perfectionism and comparison. When your mindset is locked on the end goal or on how others are doing, it's easy to feel like you're never enough. This perspective breeds frustration, self-doubt, and sometimes paralysis. On the other hand, recognizing progress in any form fosters a sense of accomplishment and gratitude that fuels your journey with positivity. It teaches you that success isn't a distant destination, but a continuous process filled with moments worthy of recognition. Many people have discovered that this simple practice reduces anxiety and boosts self-esteem, making challenges feel more manageable and setbacks less discouraging. Celebrating small wins requires intentionality and self-awareness. It's not enough to passively notice progress. You must actively create rituals that honor your achievements. This could be as simple as jotting down your daily accomplishments in a journal, sharing your wins with a trusted friend, or rewarding yourself with something meaningful after completing a task. The key is to make celebration a conscious and regular part of your routine, reinforcing the habit of self-acknowledgement. People who consistently celebrate small wins tend to feel more motivated and connected to their personal goals, which in turn enhances their overall well-being. It's a practice that transforms the mundane into moments of joy and affirmation. Moreover, celebrating small wins cultivates patience and compassion toward yourself. Progress is rarely linear, and setbacks are inevitable. When you learn to value small steps, you become less harsh and more understanding when things don't go perfectly. This compassionate approach encourages persistence rather than self-criticism, helping you stay committed even during difficult phases. Many individuals who have embraced this mindset report feeling more balanced and resilient, with a deeper appreciation for their own efforts. It's a reminder that every little victory contributes to the bigger picture and that your worth is not solely defined by the scale of your accomplishments. It's also important to recognize that small wins vary for each person based on their unique journey and circumstances. What might seem minor to one person can be monumental for another, especially when overcoming personal challenges or trauma. Defining your own criteria for success and honoring your pace allows you to celebrate authentically and meaningfully. This personalized celebration reinforces self-acceptance and discourages unhealthy comparisons that often sabotage self-love. By valuing your unique path and the steps you take along it, you nurture a positive relationship with yourself that is grounded in reality and kindness. In practice, celebrating small wins can transform how you experience daily life. Instead of rushing through tasks or dismissing your efforts, you start to savor accomplishments and recognize growth in real time. This shift in perspective opens the door to greater happiness, motivation, and emotional balance. Small celebrations can be as simple as pausing to smile at yourself after finishing a project, saying thank you internally for your effort, or giving yourself a moment of rest and appreciation. These moments accumulate and build a reservoir of positive energy that supports you through challenges and keeps your spirit lifted. Ultimately, learning to celebrate small wins is an act of radical self-love that rewires your relationship with achievement and self-worth. It frees you from the tyranny of perfection and external validation, allowing you to find joy and pride in your authentic progress. This mindset fosters resilience, patience, and a deeper connection to your own journey, making every step feel valuable and celebrated. When you consistently honor your small victories, you create a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling, grounded in self-respect and genuine appreciation for who you are becoming. This simple but profound practice is a cornerstone of sustained happiness and emotional well-being. Number 9. Say no to things that drain your energy. There comes a point in life when the weight of constant demands and expectations feels unbearable, leaving you emotionally exhausted and mentally depleted. Most people experience this draining sensation without fully understanding why they feel so worn out, despite putting in so much effort. The harsh truth is that much of this exhaustion comes from saying yes to things, people, and situations that siphon your energy instead of replenishing it. Learning to say no is not just about refusing requests. It's a vital skill of self-preservation and self-respect that many struggle to master. The reality check here is that you don't owe your time, attention, or goodwill to everything and everyone who asks for it. Protecting your energy by setting firm boundaries around what you agree to is essential for maintaining your emotional health and personal power. Saying no is challenging because it often triggers feelings of guilt, fear of rejection, or worry about disappointing others. Society tends to reward compliance and generosity at the expense of individual needs, which creates internal conflicts when we try to prioritize ourselves. However, the truth is that every time you say yes to something that drains your energy, you're saying no to yourself. This means sacrificing your well-being, peace of mind, and time that could be spent nourishing your body, mind, and soul. Learning to say no without guilt requires a shift in perspective. Understanding that your energy is finite and sacred, and protecting it is an act of self-love rather than selfishness. When you begin to recognize your right to choose where your energy goes, you reclaim control over your life and create space for what truly matters. Energy drains come in many forms, whether it's toxic relationships that leave you feeling empty, overwhelming commitments that stretch you too thin, or internal pressure to meet unrealistic standards. The challenge is that these drains often masquerade as obligations or nice-to-haves, making them difficult to identify and resist. Developing the ability to discern what genuinely aligns with your values and priorities versus what depletes your spirit is crucial. This discernment comes from tuning into your body's signals, emotions, and mental state. When you notice persistent fatigue, resentment, or anxiety linked to certain activities or interactions, it's a clear sign that your energy is being compromised. Acknowledging this without judgment is the first step toward reclaiming your power through the simple but powerful word, no. Mastering the art of saying no also involves effective communication. It's not about shutting people down harshly, but expressing your boundaries clearly and respectfully. Many people fear confrontation or hurting feelings, so they avoid saying no, which leads to burnout. However, when you communicate honestly about your limits, you cultivate authentic relationships based on mutual respect. Saying no can be done with kindness and firmness, making it easier for others to understand and honor your needs. This honesty strengthens your self-esteem and teaches those around you how to treat you. Over time, the discomfort of setting boundaries decreases, replaced by the peace that comes from living authentically and protecting your well-being. Another important aspect of saying no to energy drains is recognizing the value of your time and attention. These resources are among your most precious assets, and where you invest them determines the quality of your life. When you say yes to everything, you dilute your focus and compromise your ability to give your best to what truly matters. Prioritizing your energy means aligning your commitments with your deepest goals and passions. This alignment creates a sense of fulfillment and joy rather than exhaustion and frustration. People who learn this skill often find they have more energy, creativity, and happiness because they're not constantly battling depletion from unnecessary demands. Saying no is also a form of empowerment that enables you to take responsibility for your mental and emotional health. Instead of being a passive participant in life, drained by others' needs and expectations, you become an active guardian of your own energy. This empowerment ripples into every area of your life, from work to relationships to personal growth, because you are no longer giving your power away. It takes courage and practice to break old habits of people-pleasing and overcommitment, but the rewards are immense. You cultivate resilience, clarity, and a stronger connection with your authentic self, allowing you to thrive rather than merely survive. Finally, learning to say no to things that drain your energy invites a deeper sense of peace and balance. When your life is free from unnecessary obligations and toxic influences, you create room for rest, creativity, and joy. You become more attuned to your needs and desires, and you allow yourself to heal and grow at your own pace. This balance is crucial for sustainable happiness and emotional well-being. It reminds you that your energy is your responsibility and that honoring it is one of the most profound acts of self-care. Saying no is not a rejection of the world, but an embrace of your own worth and boundaries, enabling you to show up fully and authentically in all that you do. Number 10. Surround yourself with people who uplift your spirit. Life can feel overwhelmingly heavy when the people around you drain your energy, cloud your vision, or diminish your sense of self-worth. Most individuals experience the subtle but persistent effect of toxic relationships, whether with family, friends, or co-workers, that slowly erode their confidence and happiness. It's a brutal reality that the company you keep directly influences your emotional landscape more than you might realize. Being surrounded by negative, unsupportive, or critical people is like walking through thick fog. Each step becomes harder, and your inner light struggles to shine through. The truth many overlook is that your environment is not fixed. You have the power to choose who you invite into your life and how close they get to your heart and mind. Creating a circle that uplifts your spirit is not just a luxury. It is an essential foundation for your emotional health and personal growth. Finding people who genuinely uplift your spirit means seeking out those who inspire, support, and encourage you to be your authentic self without judgment. These individuals celebrate your successes, listen without interrupting, and provide comfort without strings attached. They challenge you gently to grow but never diminish your worth. Unfortunately, such people are not always easy to find, especially when old habits or fears keep you tied to unhealthy relationships. Many remain stuck in draining dynamics out of obligation, guilt, or the false hope that things will change. This is where honesty with yourself becomes crucial, recognizing that your emotional well-being depends on who you allow to influence your daily life. It's not selfish to prioritize connections that nourish your soul. It's necessary. Uplifting relationships create an environment where you feel safe to express your vulnerabilities, dreams, and fears. When you are with people who truly care, you experience a sense of belonging and acceptance that fuels resilience against life's inevitable hardships. They become a source of light during dark times and a reminder of your inherent value. In contrast, negative relationships often leave you doubting your worth, questioning your decisions, and feeling isolated even when surrounded by others. This emotional depletion can manifest as anxiety, depression, or chronic stress, which ripple out to affect every aspect of your life. Choosing to surround yourself with uplifting individuals is an act of self-care that helps build emotional immunity and fortifies your spirit against negativity. The process of cultivating uplifting relationships requires intentionality and courage. It might mean distancing yourself from people who drain you or setting clear boundaries to protect your energy. It can also involve stepping out of your comfort zone to meet new people aligned with your values and aspirations. Engaging in communities, groups, or activities that resonate with your passions often leads to meeting like-minded souls who lift you higher. This shift demands patience and a willingness to prioritize quality over quantity. The goal is not to have many acquaintances, but a few genuine connections that enrich your life profoundly. As you nurture these relationships, you'll notice a gradual transformation in your mindset, confidence, and overall joy. Moreover, surrounding yourself with uplifting people influences your inner dialogue and self-perception. Positive social circles reinforce your strengths, help you overcome self-doubt, and encourage you to pursue your goals with renewed vigor. When you see others genuinely celebrating your growth, it rewires your brain to believe in your potential and worthiness. This dynamic creates a powerful feedback loop. Your spirit feels supported, so you shine brighter, attracting even more positive energy. It's important to remember that uplifting relationships are reciprocal. While you seek support, you also become a source of encouragement and light for others. This mutual exchange builds a thriving community that elevates everyone involved. In contrast, staying in draining relationships can stunt your emotional and personal development. Constant criticism, negativity, or emotional manipulation wears down your confidence and clouds your ability to see opportunities for growth. You might find yourself shrinking into a version of you that feels small and insignificant. Recognizing these harmful patterns and having the courage to step away is not easy, especially if those relationships are deeply ingrained or tied to family. Yet, making space for uplifting influences is vital for reclaiming your joy and living a life aligned with your true self. The discomfort of change is temporary, but the long-term benefits of a supportive social circle are immeasurable. Ultimately, surrounding yourself with people who uplift your spirit is a profound act of honoring your worth and nurturing your soul. It's about creating a personal ecosystem where kindness, encouragement, and respect flourish naturally. This environment becomes a sanctuary where you can recharge, dream bigger, and heal from past wounds. Life will always present challenges, but with a supportive community by your side, you face them with greater strength, clarity, and hope. Remember, the company you keep shapes your reality, so choose wisely and courageously. You deserve to be surrounded by those who see your light, amplify it, and walk beside you on your journey toward the fullest expression of yourself. Number 11. Invest time in hobbies that make you feel alive. It's a harsh truth that many people drift through life caught up in routines that leave their souls parched and their passions buried beneath responsibilities. The relentless pace of work, family duties, and daily stresses often squeezes out any time or energy for personal joy. This lack of connection to what truly makes you feel alive is a silent epidemic that breeds dissatisfaction and a sense of emptiness. Yet within you lies a spark, those interests, hobbies, or creative outlets that once ignited your enthusiasm and brought genuine happiness. Reclaiming that part of yourself isn't a frivolous luxury, but a vital necessity for your well-being. When you deliberately invest time in activities that feed your spirit, you reconnect with your authentic self and invite fulfillment back into your life. Engaging in hobbies that resonate deeply with you offers far more than just entertainment or distraction. These activities create a sacred space where you can escape the pressures of daily life and express yourself freely without judgment or expectation. Whether it's painting, writing, gardening, dancing, or playing music, hobbies nourish your mental health by shifting your focus away from stressors and into the flow of creativity and presence. They help you tap into a state of mindfulness where time seems to slow and you experience moments of pure joy and accomplishment. This connection to a passion project replenishes your emotional reserves, allowing you to face challenges with greater resilience and optimism. Many people hesitate to pursue hobbies because they believe they must be perfect or productive at them. This pressure to excel can turn a joyful activity into yet another source of stress or comparison. The truth is, hobbies are meant to be enjoyed, not judged. They are personal journeys of exploration and play, free from the rigid standards that govern other parts of life. By releasing the need to perform or achieve in your hobbies, you open yourself up to the freedom of pure experience. This mindset shift transforms hobbies into powerful tools for healing and self-discovery. The time you invest in these activities becomes a sacred gift to yourself, a way to honor your inner world and celebrate your unique talents and interests. Hobbies also provide an important avenue for social connection and community. Joining groups or classes centered around your interests can introduce you to like-minded individuals who share your passion and values. These social connections often lead to friendships that uplift and inspire you, creating a support system outside of your usual circles. The joy found in shared experiences deepens your sense of belonging and enriches your life with new perspectives and encouragement. Moreover, hobbies often cultivate skills that boost your confidence and give you a sense of accomplishment that spills over into other areas of your life. This growing self-assurance reinforces your overall sense of worth and vitality. In today's hyper-connected world, the temptation to fill every moment with screens and distractions can lead to a disconnect from your true self. Investing time in hobbies encourages you to slow down and prioritize what brings you genuine satisfaction. It reminds you that your identity is not solely defined by your roles or productivity, but by your passions, curiosities, and joys. This conscious choice to nurture yourself through meaningful activities can rekindle a zest for life and inspire you to live more fully. The energy and fulfillment gained from hobbies ripple into your relationships, work, and self-perception, creating a positive cycle of growth and happiness. Ultimately, investing time in hobbies that make you feel alive is a powerful declaration that your happiness and self-care matter. It's an invitation to reconnect with your essence, rediscover what excites you, and cultivate a life that feels rich and rewarding on a personal level. The road to self-love and fulfillment isn't only paved with achievements and external validation, but with the simple, joyful moments you create through your passions. Embracing hobbies with intention breathes life into your days, rejuvenates your spirit, and reminds you that your happiness is worth the time and effort. It's never too late to start, and every small step toward this investment in yourself is a profound act of honoring your worth and your right to feel truly alive. Number 12. Take care of your body like it deserves love. It's an undeniable reality that many people struggle with their relationship to their bodies, often treating them as mere vessels or machines to endure stress, exhaustion, and neglect, rather than as sacred homes worthy of respect and care. Society bombards us with unrealistic standards and harsh judgments, which can leave us feeling disconnected, unworthy, or even hostile toward our own physical selves. Yet the truth remains that your body is the only permanent companion you will ever have, carrying you through every moment of your life. Taking care of it is not just about appearance or fleeting goals. It's a profound act of self-love and reverence that nourishes every aspect of your being. When you start to truly honor your body by treating it with kindness, patience, and compassion, you create a foundation of health, confidence, and vitality that radiates outward and deeply influences your mental and emotional well-being. Nurturing your body means recognizing its incredible complexity and its essential role in your overall happiness. It requires more than just occasional workouts or dieting trends. It calls for consistent, mindful attention to its needs, whether that's proper nutrition, adequate rest, gentle movement, or relaxation. When you listen attentively to your body's signals without judgment or harsh criticism, you develop an intuitive understanding of what it truly craves. Sometimes this means allowing yourself to rest when you're tired, nourishing yourself with wholesome foods, or moving in ways that feel joyful and energizing rather than punishing. This approach shifts the focus from fixing perceived flaws to embracing and supporting your body's natural rhythms, strengths, and limitations. The more you practice this, the more your body becomes a source of pleasure and empowerment instead of shame or frustration. A common barrier many face is the overwhelming pressure to meet external ideals of beauty and fitness, which often leads to harmful cycles of restriction, overexertion, or neglect. It's critical to break free from this mindset and cultivate a more compassionate and realistic attitude toward your body. Accepting that your body changes, ages, and has imperfections is part of honoring its unique story and resilience. Each scar, stretch mark, or curve tells a tale of survival, growth, and life lived fully. When you shift your perspective to see your body as a living, breathing expression of your existence rather than a problem to be solved, you start to foster genuine appreciation and gratitude. This internal transformation can alleviate the relentless self-criticism that weighs so heavily on many, opening the door to greater peace and contentment. Taking care of your body also deeply impacts your mental and emotional health in ways that are often underestimated. When you treat your body with kindness, it responds with improved energy, mood, and cognitive function. Engaging in regular physical activity, for example, releases endorphins that naturally elevate your mood and reduce stress. Proper nutrition supports brain health and balances hormones that regulate emotions. Adequate sleep is foundational to emotional resilience and clarity. By committing to care for your body as an act of love, you set a positive feedback loop in motion where your physical health fuels your mental strength and vice versa. This holistic approach empowers you to navigate life's challenges with greater calm, focus, and optimism. Another often overlooked aspect of caring for your body is honoring its need for rest and relaxation without guilt. In a culture that glorifies busyness and productivity, many feel they must push through fatigue or discomfort to prove their worth. This mindset is not only unsustainable but harmful. True self-care involves recognizing when your body needs a pause, whether through restorative sleep, meditation, or simply slowing down and giving yourself permission to rest fully. This practice nurtures your nervous system, reduces chronic stress, and supports healing. When you consistently listen to and respect your body's limits, you avoid burnout and preserve your vitality for the long term. Over time, this respectful relationship with your body cultivates resilience and a profound sense of inner peace. Finally, taking care of your body like it deserves love is a revolutionary act of self-empowerment. It defies the toxic narratives that tell you your worth depends on external validation or fitting a narrow mold. Instead, it affirms that your body, in all its uniqueness and imperfection, is a source of strength, beauty, and joy. This care encourages you to celebrate your physical presence, not as something to be hidden or fixed, but as a vital part of who you are. When you embrace this truth, you free yourself from endless dissatisfaction and step into a more authentic, loving, and grounded way of being. Loving your body fully is a lifelong journey, but each intentional step you take toward care and acceptance builds a deeper connection to yourself and a richer experience of life. Number 13, meditate daily to connect deeply with your soul. In today's fast-paced world, it's almost impossible to ignore the overwhelming noise and distractions that constantly pull us in every direction. Many people find themselves trapped in a cycle of stress, anxiety, and relentless mental chatter that leaves them feeling fragmented, disconnected, and exhausted. This state is far from what it means to be truly alive or at peace within yourself. Amid this chaos, one of the most transformative practices anyone can adopt is meditation, a daily commitment to sit quietly, observe your thoughts without judgment, and connect deeply with the core of your being. Meditation is not just a trend or a momentary escape, it's an essential tool for anyone serious about healing, self-discovery, and cultivating profound inner peace. When practiced consistently, meditation becomes a bridge between the noise of the external world and the silent sanctuary of your soul, offering clarity, balance, and an enduring sense of calm. The journey into meditation is often met with resistance at first because it forces you to face your own mind, including all the thoughts, worries, and fears you usually try to avoid. It's normal to feel restless or frustrated as you begin, but this is part of the process. With patience and gentle persistence, meditation trains your mind to slow down, detach from incessant mental loops, and rest in the present moment. This stillness is where your deepest self resides beyond identity, roles, and societal expectations. It is here you reconnect with your soul's quiet wisdom, which often gets drowned out by everyday noise. This reconnection is not a mystical or distant concept. It is a deeply grounding and practical experience that reshapes your perspective and reactions to life's challenges. As you cultivate this daily practice, you start noticing subtle yet profound changes, less reactivity, increased compassion, and a stronger sense of who you truly are beneath the surface. Meditation also acts as a powerful antidote to the overwhelming stress and anxiety so many endure. Science has repeatedly shown that consistent meditation reduces cortisol levels, calms the nervous system, and enhances emotional regulation. But beyond the physical benefits, meditation offers a spiritual sanctuary, a place within yourself where you can rest and recharge without judgment. This internal refuge becomes increasingly vital as life's external demands grow heavier. The ability to step into this calm space, even for a few minutes daily, is a skill that fosters resilience and emotional strength. You learn not to be ruled by your fears or insecurities, but to observe them as passing clouds in the vast sky of your consciousness. This shift is liberating, empowering you to respond to life's difficulties with grace rather than reacting impulsively or becoming overwhelmed. Moreover, daily meditation sharpens your self-awareness, which is the foundation of all genuine personal growth. As you observe your thoughts and emotions from a place of stillness, you begin to see patterns that previously went unnoticed. This insight allows you to break free from limiting beliefs and habits that no longer serve you. Instead of being controlled by unconscious fears or societal conditioning, you gain the ability to consciously choose how you want to think, feel, and act. This heightened awareness creates space for positive transformation and deeper self-acceptance. You start living with greater intention, aligning your actions with your soul's true desires instead of external expectations. In this way, meditation becomes a tool not just for peace, but for profound empowerment and self-realization. It's important to remember that meditation doesn't require hours of practice or special skills. Even a few minutes a day of focused breathing or mindfulness can yield remarkable benefits when done consistently. The key is to approach your practice without judgment or expectation, allowing each session to be what it is, a moment of connection with yourself. Over time, these small moments accumulate, weaving a tapestry of calm and clarity throughout your life. The habit of daily meditation is like building a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger and more flexible your mind becomes. Eventually, this strength spills into all areas of your life, helping you handle stress, improve relationships, and live with a fuller sense of presence and joy. For many, meditation is also an invitation to explore spirituality in a personal and meaningful way. It opens doors to experiences of profound peace, insight, and connection that words often fail to capture. These moments remind you that you are not your thoughts or your struggles, but a vast and radiant being connected to something far greater than yourself. This awareness can transform the way you view life's difficulties and uncertainties, replacing fear with trust and surrender. Meditation becomes a sacred ritual that anchors you in your highest truth, no matter what external circumstances arise. It's a daily reminder that your soul is always there, steady, unshaken, and infinitely wise. In a culture that glorifies constant doing and achievement, choosing to meditate daily is an act of radical self-care and defiance. It says you are worth the time and effort it takes to nurture your inner world, just as much as you care for your external goals. This commitment to yourself lays the groundwork for all other aspects of self-love and healing. Without a deep connection to your soul, it's easy to lose your way or get caught in unhealthy patterns. Meditation helps you stay rooted in who you truly are, even when life feels overwhelming or confusing. It is the quiet heartbeat of your self-love journey, a powerful practice that enriches every moment and leads you toward a life lived with more clarity, compassion, and authenticity. In conclusion, daily meditation is not just a practice, but a lifeline for anyone seeking true connection with themselves amid life's chaos. It invites you to slow down, listen deeply, and discover the unshakable peace within. As you make meditation a daily habit, you cultivate a sanctuary inside that nurtures your soul and supports your growth. This connection transforms your relationship with yourself and the world, helping you live more fully, love more deeply, and face each day with renewed strength and serenity. There is no greater gift you can give yourself than the commitment to sit with your soul daily, allowing its wisdom and love to guide you through every step of your life's journey. Number 14. Replace negative self-talk with powerful, affirming beliefs. Most people carry an uninvited guest within their minds, a relentless inner critic that constantly undermines their confidence, fuels self-doubt, and diminishes their sense of worth. This internal voice often speaks louder and more frequently than any external praise, shaping the way we see ourselves and interact with the world. It's a harsh reality that many endure silently, unaware that the words they habitually tell themselves hold immense power to either destroy or uplift their spirit. Negative self-talk creeps in through the cracks of past hurts, failures, or societal conditioning, convincing us we're not enough, not good enough, not smart enough, or not worthy of happiness. This constant barrage of self-criticism creates a toxic environment in our own minds, and left unchecked, it can lead to anxiety, depression, and a profound disconnection from the true essence of who we are. Recognizing the patterns of negative self-talk is the first crucial step towards change. It is not always easy because these thoughts often feel automatic and deeply ingrained, like a background noise we barely notice. However, paying close attention to the stories you tell yourself about your abilities, appearance, and value reveals a pattern of limiting beliefs that keep you trapped in self-sabotage. This negative narrative is rarely rooted in truth, but is instead a reflection of fear, past pain, or unrealistic expectations. The problem is, when these thoughts become your default inner dialogue, they shape your behavior, decisions, and emotional well-being. The good news is that you have the power to interrupt this cycle by consciously choosing to replace negative self-talk with affirming, empowering beliefs that honor your worth and potential. Replacing negative self-talk doesn't mean ignoring real challenges or pretending to be perfect. It means adopting a compassionate and honest approach toward yourself, where you acknowledge difficulties without allowing them to define your identity or limit your future. Powerful affirmations are not empty cliches. They are intentional statements that align with your deepest truths and aspirations. For example, shifting from "I can't do this" to "I am capable of learning and growing through challenges" opens the door to resilience and self-confidence. These affirmations work because they rewire your brain, gradually replacing old, harmful thought patterns with healthier, more constructive ones. The repetition of positive statements over time builds a foundation of self-love and belief that supports your emotional and mental well-being. The journey to transforming your inner dialogue requires patience, persistence, and kindness. It helps to create a daily ritual where you consciously speak or write affirmations that resonate deeply with your soul. Surrounding yourself with reminders of your worth, whether through journals, sticky notes, or mindful meditation, reinforces these new beliefs. You might start by affirming simple truths like, "I am enough just as I am," or "I deserve kindness and respect." Then move toward more specific affirmations tailored to your personal growth. Over time, these affirmations not only reshape your thoughts, but also influence your actions, enabling you to make choices that reflect your true value rather than fears or doubts. This gradual shift cultivates an internal environment where you feel safe, supported, and empowered to live authentically. One of the most significant obstacles to replacing negative self-talk is the tendency to believe these thoughts unquestioningly. The critical voice can sound so familiar and convincing that it feels like an objective truth. Challenging this requires developing awareness and curiosity about your thoughts. Ask yourself, is this thought really true? Where is the evidence? What would I say to a friend who felt this way? This practice helps create distance between you and your inner critic, allowing you to respond rather than react. It also invites you to recognize the voice's limitations and the possibility of choosing a more loving and truthful narrative. This mindful engagement with your thoughts is a powerful act of reclaiming your mental space and directing your focus toward healing and growth. Replacing negative self-talk is also deeply tied to self-compassion. Often, the harsh inner critic thrives because of unrealistic expectations or unforgiving standards we set for ourselves. When you begin treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a loved one, the foundation for positive affirmations becomes stronger. Self-compassion allows you to accept your imperfections without shame and to view mistakes as opportunities rather than failures. This nurturing mindset fuels the affirmation process, making it feel genuine and believable rather than forced or superficial. As self-compassion grows, the inner dialogue shifts naturally, becoming more supportive, hopeful, and encouraging. Moreover, the impact of replacing negative self-talk extends far beyond personal happiness. When you cultivate affirming beliefs, you influence your relationships, work, and overall life satisfaction. You become more confident in setting boundaries, pursuing goals, and expressing your true self. This inner shift also enhances your resilience, enabling you to face setbacks with a growth mindset instead of despair. The ripple effect of positive self-talk empowers you to inspire and uplift others as well, creating a cycle of healing and encouragement in your community. Your inner words shape your reality, and choosing to fill that space with affirmations creates a life aligned with your highest potential and deepest joy. In practical terms, integrating this practice into daily life can be simple yet transformative. Start each morning with affirmations that set the tone for your day, reinforcing your strengths and intentions. When you catch yourself slipping into negative thoughts, pause and gently replace them with your chosen affirmations. Over time, this becomes an automatic habit that gradually quiets the inner critic and amplifies your inner champion. Visual reminders, guided affirmations, or even apps designed for positive reinforcement can support this practice. But the most important element is consistency. Like any habit worth cultivating, the key lies in showing up for yourself every day with love and patience, knowing that meaningful change unfolds gradually. Ultimately, replacing negative self-talk with powerful affirming beliefs is an essential act of self-love and empowerment. It transforms your internal landscape from a battlefield into a sanctuary where your true worth can shine unconditionally. This practice unlocks a more peaceful, confident, and authentic way of being, one where you are your own greatest supporter rather than your harshest critic. No matter where you are on your journey, committing to this shift opens the door to healing, growth, and the freedom to live fully as the unique and valuable person you truly are. The voice inside you deserves to be kind, uplifting, and empowering because your soul deserves nothing less. Number 15. Trust your intuition more than others' opinions. It's an unsettling truth that many people spend a significant portion of their lives caught in a tug-of-war between their own instincts and the voices of others. We live in a world flooded with opinions, advice, and judgments that often drown out the subtle yet profound guidance of our own intuition. This reality can lead to confusion, self-doubt, and a loss of direction because trusting others feels safer, more accepted, or even necessary for survival. Yet the cost of ignoring your inner voice is enormous. When you constantly second-guess yourself or rely solely on external validation, you lose the connection to your deepest wisdom, the internal compass that has guided you through countless moments even before conscious thought. The challenge is learning to discern and honor your intuition, even when it contradicts popular opinion or the expectations of those around you. Many people have been conditioned to doubt their instincts because intuition is subtle, often arriving as a quiet feeling or a fleeting thought rather than a loud declaration. In contrast, external opinions tend to be loud, persuasive, and persistent, coming from friends, family, society, or culture. It's easier to defer to these external voices because they appear more concrete and tangible, supported by logic, facts, or social proof. However, intuition transcends pure logic. It taps into a deeper part of your being that integrates your experiences, emotions, and subconscious knowledge into guidance that's uniquely tailored for you. Learning to trust this inner wisdom requires practice, patience, and courage, especially when the path it suggests feels risky, unconventional, or misunderstood by others. It's a hard reality check that trusting yourself might mean standing alone sometimes, but it is the cornerstone of authentic living. Trusting your intuition more than others' opinions means reclaiming your power to make decisions that truly align with your values, needs, and desires. It is about honoring the quiet nudges and gut feelings that tell you when something feels right or wrong, even if you cannot immediately explain why. These intuitive signals often provide clarity amidst chaos, helping you navigate complex situations where logic alone falls short. By tuning into your intuition, you can avoid unnecessary detours, toxic influences, or choices that do not serve your highest good. It's a form of self-respect and self-trust that empowers you to chart your own course rather than merely following the crowd or succumbing to external pressures. This shift nurtures a profound sense of confidence because your decisions come from a place of alignment and truth. One of the biggest obstacles to trusting your intuition is the fear of making mistakes or disappointing others. Many people fear that following their inner guidance might lead to failure, rejection, or conflict. These fears are real, but often exaggerated by the loud voices of self-doubt and societal conditioning. The truth is, mistakes are part of growth, and decisions grounded in authentic intuition rarely lead to permanent harm. When you trust your inner wisdom, you embrace the possibility of imperfection while remaining anchored in your core values. Moreover, following your intuition fosters resilience and adaptability because you learn to respond to life's challenges from a place of self-awareness and alignment. This process strengthens your emotional intelligence and deepens your relationship with yourself. Cultivating trust in your intuition involves creating space to listen without distraction or judgment. In today's fast-paced, noisy world, carving out quiet moments is essential to reconnect with your inner voice. Practices such as meditation, journaling, or simply spending time in nature can help you tune in to your subtle feelings and insights. It's important to approach this process with curiosity and openness rather than skepticism or impatience. Notice how your body reacts to different situations: tension, relaxation, excitement, or unease, as these physical cues often accompany intuitive messages. By consistently paying attention to these signals and acting on them, you build a stronger, more reliable connection with your intuition. Over time, the clarity and trust in your inner guidance deepen, and decision-making becomes less fraught with doubt. Another critical aspect of trusting your intuition is learning to distinguish it from fear, wishful thinking, or external influence masquerading as inner voice. Intuition tends to feel calm, clear, and steady, whereas fear often feels urgent, chaotic, and paralyzing. Wishful thinking may be overly optimistic without practical grounding, and external influence carries a tone of obligation or pressure. Developing this discernment requires self-awareness and practice. When you become more familiar with how your intuition feels, you can better filter out these other voices. This clarity allows you to act from a place of truth rather than reaction or denial. It's a powerful skill that frees you from being manipulated by outside forces or overwhelmed by your own anxieties. Trusting your intuition also enhances your creativity and problem-solving abilities. When you allow your inner guidance to lead, you tap into a wellspring of innovative ideas and solutions that logic alone may not uncover. Intuition synthesizes information from different sources, memories, emotions, sensory experiences, to offer insights that often feel like sudden aha moments. These flashes of wisdom can propel you forward in unexpected and fruitful ways, opening doors that were previously invisible. By embracing this intuitive flow, you engage more fully with your creative potential and bring more originality and authenticity into your work and relationships. This connection to your deeper self fuels a more fulfilling and inspired life. In relationships, trusting your intuition can be a vital tool for discerning who supports your growth and who may hold you back. The inner voice often alerts you to red flags, boundaries being crossed, or connections that nourish your soul. When you honor these feelings, you protect your emotional well-being and cultivate healthier interactions. It allows you to communicate your needs honestly and assertively because you know what feels right for you. This practice also helps you avoid the trap of people-pleasing or compromising your values to fit in. As you strengthen trust in yourself, you naturally attract relationships that reflect and reinforce your true worth. The journey to fully trusting your intuition is ongoing and evolving. It requires consistent practice, self-compassion, and the willingness to face discomfort or uncertainty. You will make mistakes, question yourself, and sometimes hear conflicting advice, but these moments are part of the growth process. Each time you choose to listen and act on your intuition, you strengthen the foundation of self-trust and authenticity. You become a beacon of your own truth, capable of navigating life with greater clarity, confidence, and peace. This inner alignment is the source of lasting happiness and fulfillment, far beyond the fleeting approval of others. Ultimately, trusting your intuition more than others' opinions is an act of radical self-respect and empowerment. It means honoring the unique wisdom that resides within you and allowing it to guide your life's decisions, no matter how unconventional or challenging they may seem. This choice frees you from the exhausting cycle of seeking external validation and opens the path to living authentically, courageously, and fully. Number 16. Track your growth and celebrate your emotional progress. It's a harsh reality that so many people feel stuck in their personal development because they overlook the importance of recognizing their own growth. We often focus so much on where we want to be or what we haven't achieved yet that we fail to see how far we've come emotionally and mentally. This blind spot can leave us feeling frustrated, unaccomplished, or even defeated, despite the small but powerful strides we've made. The truth is, emotional progress is rarely as visible as external achievements, but it's just as, if not more, critical to our overall well-being and happiness. Learning to track your growth and consciously celebrate emotional milestones is a transformative practice that can radically shift your mindset from one of scarcity and self-criticism to one of abundance and self-compassion. Tracking your growth begins with developing awareness of your inner world, your feelings, reactions, and coping mechanisms. Most people live on autopilot, reacting to situations without pausing to acknowledge how their responses have evolved over time. Emotional progress might show up as greater patience in stressful moments, the ability to forgive yourself for past mistakes, or simply feeling more grounded and confident in your identity. These subtle changes can be difficult to notice unless you intentionally reflect on your journey. Keeping a journal or log dedicated to your emotional experiences allows you to see patterns and improvements that would otherwise be lost in the hustle of daily life. This documentation becomes a mirror reflecting your resilience and the skills you've cultivated, making your invisible victories visible and undeniable. Celebrating emotional progress is equally vital because it reinforces the positive changes and motivates continued growth. Many people neglect this part, thinking that only monumental achievements deserve recognition. However, emotional growth is a series of small, consistent steps, and each one deserves acknowledgement. Celebrations don't have to be extravagant. Even a quiet moment of gratitude for handling a difficult conversation better than before is meaningful. This practice rewires your brain to value emotional intelligence and self-care, encouraging a healthier relationship with yourself. By honoring these moments, you build a foundation of self-love that supports you through future challenges and nurtures your sense of accomplishment beyond external validation. One of the hardest parts of tracking emotional growth is overcoming the tendency to minimize or dismiss your progress because it doesn't match societal standards of success. Emotional maturity isn't about perfection or having everything figured out. It's about showing up for yourself even when things are hard. Recognizing that your journey is unique allows you to let go of unfair comparisons and embrace your own pace. This shift is liberating because it moves you away from a judgmental mindset and into one of acceptance and encouragement. When you accept that growth looks different for everyone, you free yourself from the pressure of meeting unrealistic expectations and open the door to genuine self-appreciation. Moreover, tracking emotional growth can help you identify areas where you might still be stuck or resistant to change. When you review your progress honestly, you may notice recurring patterns or emotional triggers that need further attention. This awareness is not a sign of failure, but a crucial step toward healing and deeper understanding. Growth is not linear, and setbacks are natural. By keeping track, you can see how even these setbacks contribute to your overall development. They become learning opportunities rather than reasons for self-criticism. This perspective fosters patience and resilience, teaching you that emotional progress is a lifelong journey with ups and downs, not a destination. In addition, celebrating emotional progress builds your self-confidence by proving that you are capable of change and growth. Many people doubt their ability to transform because past failures or negative self-beliefs cloud their vision. When you document and celebrate your progress, you gather undeniable evidence of your strength and capacity for improvement. This evidence acts as a shield against self-doubt and external negativity. It empowers you to face future challenges with more courage and optimism because you've already seen yourself evolve through difficult times. This growing trust in yourself is foundational for sustained emotional health and personal fulfillment. Another important benefit of tracking emotional growth is that it enhances your empathy and compassion toward others. As you become more aware of your own journey, including your struggles, breakthroughs, and perseverance, you develop a deeper understanding of what others might be experiencing. This empathy allows you to connect more authentically with people, respond with kindness, and offer support without judgment. It also reminds you that everyone's path is complex and filled with unseen battles. Your emotional progress becomes not only a personal victory, but a source of wisdom and strength that enriches your relationships and community. To make tracking your growth effective, it helps to establish regular practices that encourage reflection and celebration. Setting aside time each week or month to review your journal, meditate on your experiences, or simply acknowledge your feelings creates a ritual of self-care. During these moments, ask yourself questions like, what emotions did I handle better this week? Or, what challenges did I overcome that I might have struggled with before? Celebrate even the smallest victories by giving yourself credit, sharing your success with a trusted friend, or rewarding yourself in ways that nurture your well-being. These habits embed emotional awareness into your daily life and keep your progress tangible and motivating. It is crucial to understand that emotional growth often requires courage because it involves facing uncomfortable truths about yourself and your past. Tracking this growth is not about ignoring pain or hardship, but acknowledging it as part of your story and your strength. When you confront these realities honestly, you allow healing to take place, and you reclaim your power to shape your emotional future. This practice is transformative because it changes the narrative from victimhood or stagnation to one of empowerment and continuous evolution. It teaches you that your emotions are not obstacles but guides leading you to greater self-awareness and peace. In a culture that often values external achievements over internal well-being, prioritizing your emotional progress is a radical act of self-love and resistance. It sends a message that your feelings, growth, and inner experiences matter deeply. This focus shifts your energy from chasing approval or material success to nurturing your true self. Over time, this realignment fosters a sense of contentment and authenticity that cannot be taken away by circumstances or others' opinions. Tracking and celebrating your emotional progress becomes a lifelong practice that fuels resilience, joy, and deeper connection with who you really are. Ultimately, the act of tracking your growth and celebrating emotional progress is a powerful tool for building a more compassionate, grounded, and empowered self. It allows you to honor your journey with kindness and respect, recognize your efforts and achievements, and embrace the ongoing process of becoming. Number 17, let go of needing validation from outside sources. It's a painful truth that so many people spend their lives trapped in the exhausting cycle of seeking approval from others. Whether it's from family, friends, colleagues, or even strangers online, the hunger for external validation can feel like an endless thirst that never quenches. This desperate need often arises from deep insecurities and a fragile sense of self-worth, leaving individuals vulnerable to the ever-changing opinions and judgments of the world around them. When your happiness and confidence depend on how others see you, you are essentially handing over the power of your emotional well-being to forces you cannot control. This is a recipe for chronic dissatisfaction, anxiety, and emotional instability because external validation is unreliable and fleeting. The challenge and the liberation lies in breaking free from this dependency and learning to stand firmly in your own self-approval and inner truth. Releasing the need for validation requires a radical shift in how you perceive yourself and your value. Most people grow up learning to equate approval with success or worthiness, but this is a limiting belief that can stunt emotional growth. True self-worth is intrinsic and not something to be earned through accolades, compliments, or social status. When you depend less on others' opinions, you reclaim the space to explore who you really are without filters or masks. This allows you to develop a genuine sense of identity based on your own values, passions, and authentic desires. It's not about becoming indifferent to feedback or constructive criticism, but about grounding your self-esteem in a stable internal foundation that isn't shaken by external praise or criticism. One of the hardest aspects of letting go of outside validation is confronting the fear of rejection and loneliness. It's natural to worry that if you stop seeking others' approval, you will be isolated or unloved. However, paradoxically, when you stop chasing validation, you often attract more meaningful relationships because you are no longer projecting neediness or insecurity. People are drawn to confidence and authenticity, and by valuing yourself first, you create a powerful magnetic energy that encourages genuine connections. The fear that you must perform or conform to be accepted diminishes, freeing you to engage with others from a place of honesty and strength. This deepens your relationships and creates a support system rooted in mutual respect rather than conditional approval. Practically, letting go of needing validation involves cultivating habits that reinforce your self-trust and internal compass. This can start with daily affirmations that remind you of your worth regardless of external circumstances. Practices like journaling help you reflect on moments when you felt strong and proud of yourself, independent of others' reactions. Setting clear boundaries becomes easier because your decisions aren't based on pleasing others, but on honoring your own needs and values. You learn to listen to your intuition and feelings as guides rather than constantly seeking others' opinions to confirm your choices. Over time, these practices strengthen your emotional resilience and reduce the anxiety that comes from trying to please everyone around you. It is crucial to recognize that letting go of external validation is not a one-time event, but a continuous process. Old habits and thought patterns can resurface, especially during times of stress or insecurity. When you catch yourself slipping into the trap of seeking approval, gently remind yourself of your commitment to self-validation. Embrace these moments as opportunities for growth rather than failures. Each time you choose your own voice over others, you reinforce your inner strength and move closer to emotional freedom. This ongoing practice builds a profound sense of self-reliance and peace that no external validation can provide. Another vital element in this journey is understanding the societal and cultural influences that fuel the need for external approval. From childhood, many people are conditioned to seek praise to feel worthy, often through achievements, appearance, or social roles. Recognizing these conditioning patterns allows you to question their validity and dismantle limiting beliefs that keep you trapped. You begin to see that your value is not defined by performance, conformity, or others' expectations. This awareness empowers you to create your own narrative of worthiness based on compassion, self-acceptance, and the unique qualities that make you who you are. Letting go of needing validation also opens the door to embracing imperfection and vulnerability. When you no longer fear judgment, you can be more honest about your struggles, doubts, and mistakes. This honesty is liberating because it removes the burden of pretending to be flawless or good enough. Vulnerability becomes a source of strength, allowing deeper connections with yourself and others. It shifts the focus from external approval to internal growth and authenticity. This transformation nurtures a kind and forgiving relationship with yourself, where mistakes are seen as natural steps on your journey rather than marks of failure. In addition, releasing the need for validation enhances your ability to celebrate your achievements without hesitation or second-guessing. When your worth is not tied to others' recognition, you can fully own your successes and feel genuine pride in your progress. This self-celebration is an essential part of maintaining motivation and joy in life. It fosters a positive feedback loop where internal satisfaction encourages continued growth and exploration. By becoming your own biggest supporter, you cultivate a stable foundation of confidence that sustains you through challenges and setbacks. Furthermore, the freedom that comes from letting go of external validation has profound effects on your mental health. It reduces anxiety, stress, and feelings of inadequacy that often accompany the pressure to meet others' expectations. You gain emotional independence, where your mood and self-esteem are less volatile and more consistent. This stability allows you to navigate life's ups and downs with greater calm and clarity. Over time, this shift creates a more balanced and fulfilling emotional landscape, supporting your overall well-being and happiness. Ultimately, letting go of needing validation from outside sources is one of the most empowering acts of self-love you can practice. It allows you to break free from the chains of external approval and step fully into your authentic self. This freedom creates space for true happiness, inner peace, and deep connection with your own values and passions. It is a courageous journey that requires patience, persistence, and compassion, but the rewards are profound. When you commit to trusting yourself and honoring your worth independently, you unlock the power to live a more vibrant, authentic, and fulfilling life on your own terms. Number 18. Practice gratitude for simply being who you are. It's astonishing how often people overlook the simplest yet most profound source of contentment, the simple fact of their own existence. Life's relentless pace, the pressure to achieve more, to be better, to prove something constantly, blinds many to the miraculous reality of simply being alive. Yet, practicing gratitude for who you are at this very moment, without conditions or comparisons, is one of the most powerful ways to cultivate deep and lasting self-love. It's not about being grateful only when things are perfect or when you meet certain expectations, but about recognizing your inherent value, your presence, and your unique journey as enough. This radical appreciation can transform your entire outlook, shifting your focus from scarcity and lack to abundance and fulfillment, even amidst imperfections and struggles. Gratitude for your own being is a deliberate and mindful practice that requires slowing down and tuning in. It means pausing amidst life's chaos to acknowledge the breath flowing through your lungs, the beating of your heart, and the thoughts and emotions that make you who you are. When you start to honor these basic, often overlooked aspects of yourself, you build a foundation of kindness and acceptance that supports every other aspect of your personal growth. This practice anchors you in the present moment, where true appreciation flourishes, rather than being caught up in regrets about the past or worries about the future. It becomes an act of radical self-respect and recognition that you are worthy simply because you exist. Many people struggle to feel gratitude for themselves because they get caught in cycles of self-criticism or comparison. It's easy to focus on flaws, mistakes, or what's missing, rather than celebrating the fullness of your being. However, by consistently practicing gratitude for your strengths, your resilience, and your capacity to endure, you start to change the narrative you tell yourself. This rewiring of mindset fosters a gentler, more compassionate relationship with yourself. You begin to see that your worth isn't contingent on achievements or external validation, but grounded in the fundamental fact that you are a unique human being with inherent dignity and value. Gratitude becomes the lens through which you view every experience, every challenge, and every success. The transformative power of gratitude also lies in its ability to soften emotional wounds and promote healing. When you recognize the goodness within yourself, even amidst pain or imperfection, it nurtures self-forgiveness and patience. You learn to appreciate your growth, no matter how small, and to honor your efforts and intentions even when outcomes aren't perfect. This perspective reduces harsh self-judgment and builds emotional resilience, making it easier to face life's inevitable difficulties with grace. Gratitude turns your focus away from what's lacking or broken to what is whole and worthy within you, creating a fertile ground for self-love to thrive. In practical terms, cultivating gratitude for yourself can be integrated into daily routines in many ways. A simple yet effective method is to start or end each day by listing things about yourself that you appreciate, qualities, actions, or even small moments when you felt connected to your true self. Writing these down helps solidify your awareness and reminds you regularly of your inherent worth. Another approach is to practice mindful self-compassion during difficult moments by silently acknowledging your pain while also appreciating your courage to face it. Over time, these small acts of gratitude accumulate, rewiring your brain to notice and embrace your value more naturally and effortlessly. Moreover, practicing gratitude for who you are is deeply intertwined with recognizing the interconnectedness of your existence with the world around you. When you appreciate yourself, you also become more attuned to the ways you contribute to others' lives, whether through kindness, creativity, or simply by being present. This awareness fosters a sense of belonging and purpose, enriching your self-concept and reinforcing the importance of your presence. Gratitude expands beyond the self to include a harmonious relationship with life, helping you see that your existence matters in a broader, meaningful context. This holistic perspective nurtures not only self-love, but also a profound sense of peace and fulfillment. Another crucial element in this practice is patience and persistence. Gratitude, especially for oneself, doesn't always come naturally or instantly. It often requires intentional effort, especially if you have long-standing habits of self-doubt or negativity. There will be days when feeling thankful for yourself feels impossible, and that's normal. During such times, gently remind yourself that gratitude is a practice, not a perfection. Each moment you return to appreciating your presence, no matter how small, is a victory that strengthens your capacity to love and accept yourself more fully. Over time, this steady commitment reshapes your inner dialogue and creates a resilient foundation for emotional well-being. The impact of consistently practicing gratitude for simply being who you are extends far beyond personal feelings of happiness. It influences how you relate to challenges, setbacks, and even failures. When you start from a place of appreciation for your whole self, you approach difficulties with curiosity and kindness rather than self-recrimination. This mindset empowers you to learn and grow rather than shrink or withdraw. You recognize that struggles are part of the human experience and do not diminish your value. Gratitude becomes a shield against the harshness of self-judgment and an invitation to nurture yourself through all seasons of life. Ultimately, practicing gratitude for simply being who you are is a revolutionary act in a world that often demands constant striving and external achievement for worthiness. It invites you to stop the endless chase and rest in the truth that you are enough right now, just as you are. This profound acceptance is the cornerstone of genuine self-love and inner peace. When you cultivate this gratitude daily, you not only transform your relationship with yourself, but also radiate a quiet confidence and joy that positively influences every area of your life. It's a simple yet radical shift that redefines your existence from a struggle for approval into a celebration of your unique and irreplaceable presence. Number 19. Accept your flaws as part of your beauty. Most people wake up every day feeling an invisible weight, the burden of not being perfect, of hiding what they see as flaws, and of constantly battling the inner critic that points out every mistake, every shortcoming, every imperfection. Society's unrealistic standards often make us feel broken for simply being human. But here's the hard truth. Your flaws are not obstacles to your worth. They are integral pieces of the masterpiece that is you. Accepting your flaws means embracing the reality that nobody is flawless and that imperfection does not diminish your beauty or value. In fact, it adds depth, character, and authenticity to your identity. When you stop resisting your imperfections and start welcoming them as essential parts of your unique self, a profound sense of peace and self-love begins to emerge, breaking the cycle of self-judgment and comparison. Accepting your flaws does not mean settling for less or ignoring opportunities for growth. Instead, it means acknowledging your humanity with kindness and honesty. It means recognizing that those quirks, mistakes, and insecurities are not weaknesses, but aspects that make you real and relatable. When you look in the mirror, instead of fixating on what you perceive as imperfections, you start to see the resilience, the history, and the wisdom etched into your features and experiences. Your flaws tell stories of survival, learning, and transformation. This mindset transforms self-criticism into self-acceptance, allowing you to nurture yourself with compassion rather than punishment. The moment you truly accept your flaws, you liberate yourself from the exhausting pursuit of perfection and open the door to authentic joy. The world often promotes flawless images and narratives, making it easy to internalize a belief that flaws must be hidden or fixed at all costs. This pressure can create deep feelings of shame and inadequacy. Yet, when you choose to accept your flaws, you reclaim your power. You refuse to let societal standards dictate your self-worth. Instead, you define beauty on your own terms, a beauty that is raw, honest, and inclusive of all your facets. This acceptance cultivates confidence because it is rooted in truth rather than illusion. You no longer need to wear masks or perform to gain approval. Your authenticity becomes your strength. This shift impacts not just how you see yourself, but also how you relate to others, fostering genuine connections based on honesty and vulnerability. Embracing flaws is also an act of courage, especially in a culture that glorifies perfectionism. It means showing up fully, despite fears of rejection or judgment. This vulnerability builds resilience and inner freedom, teaching you that you are lovable and worthy even when you don't fit an ideal mold. It allows you to grow from your experiences without being defined by your mistakes or limitations. This perspective encourages a healthy relationship with failure and imperfection, where setbacks become lessons and flaws become badges of authenticity. You begin to see that true beauty is not about flawless appearance or unblemished success, but about the strength to embrace all parts of yourself, including the imperfect ones. On a practical level, accepting your flaws can start with simple, intentional actions. When you notice negative thoughts about yourself arising, pause and challenge their validity. Ask yourself if these criticisms reflect the whole truth or just a narrow perspective clouded by fear or comparison. Practice speaking to yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a dear friend who feels insecure. Journaling can help by allowing you to explore your feelings about your flaws and recognize patterns of self-judgment. Over time, these efforts shift your internal dialogue from harsh condemnation to gentle acceptance, gradually rewiring how you perceive your imperfections and, by extension, yourself. Moreover, when you accept your flaws, you free up emotional energy that was previously wasted on self-criticism. This energy can then be redirected toward pursuing passions, nurturing relationships, and building a life aligned with your true self. Instead of constantly trying to fix what you think is wrong, you channel your focus into embracing what is right and beautiful about you, including the quirks and nuances that make you unique. This holistic self-acceptance fosters greater emotional stability and happiness because you no longer measure yourself against impossible standards, but celebrate your real, evolving self. This internal peace also reduces anxiety and stress, making daily life more enjoyable and fulfilling. Accepting your flaws also sets a powerful example for others. When you embrace your imperfections openly, you encourage those around you to do the same. This collective shift nurtures environments of authenticity and empathy, where people feel safe to be themselves without fear of judgment. It breaks down the toxic culture of perfectionism that isolates and diminishes many. Your acceptance can inspire healing and connection, creating ripples of self-love that extend far beyond your personal experience. In this way, embracing your flaws becomes not just a personal journey, but a contribution to a more compassionate and understanding world. Ultimately, accepting your flaws as part of your beauty is a radical act of self-love and liberation. It allows you to step into your full humanity with grace, acknowledging that imperfection is not a defect, but a defining feature of life itself. This acceptance grounds you in reality, freeing you from unrealistic expectations and allowing you to live more authentically and joyfully. It's an ongoing process that deepens with practice and patience, inviting you to continually embrace yourself more fully every single day. When you honor your flaws, you reveal the true essence of your beauty, a beauty that shines brightest not despite your imperfections, but because of them. Number 20. Love yourself even on your worst possible days. There's a brutal reality many people face, but rarely talk about. Some days are simply unbearable. No matter how much you try, the weight of failure, pain, exhaustion, or sadness can feel overwhelming and relentless. You wake up feeling like a shadow of yourself, questioning your worth and doubting your strength. On these worst possible days, when everything inside you screams for acceptance and comfort, it's incredibly hard to extend love toward yourself. Yet this is precisely when self-love matters the most. Loving yourself in your darkest moments means embracing the fullness of your humanity, not just your highlights or successes. It means standing by yourself when life's storms rage fiercest, offering kindness and patience instead of harsh judgment or abandonment. Loving yourself on bad days requires a shift in perspective, a recognition that self-love is not conditional on how well you perform or how put together you appear. It's easy to love yourself when things are going smoothly, but the real challenge and the true act of courage is to show compassion to yourself when you are struggling, when mistakes have been made, or when emotions are raw and unpredictable. This kind of love is radical because it defies the usual standards of worthiness based on perfection or productivity. It acknowledges that your value is inherent and unshakable, even when your mind tells you otherwise. By choosing love during hardship, you create an emotional refuge that nurtures healing and resilience rather than despair. Most people tend to internalize negative narratives on their worst days, letting guilt, shame, and frustration take center stage. This often leads to a vicious cycle where self-criticism feeds more pain, making it harder to recover or find peace. Breaking this cycle means consciously deciding to respond differently, treating yourself with the same gentleness and encouragement you would offer a close friend who is hurting. Loving yourself on these difficult days might look like acknowledging your feelings without judgment, allowing yourself to rest instead of pushing harder, or simply reminding yourself that bad days do not define your entire being. This shift doesn't erase pain, but softens its impact, giving you room to breathe and rebuild. Self-love on your worst days also means practicing forgiveness, both toward yourself and the circumstances that brought you low. Life can be unfair, and sometimes your own choices might not have led to the outcomes you hoped for. Holding on to blame or resentment only prolongs suffering. Instead, offering forgiveness releases you from the chains of regret and self-punishment, freeing energy to focus on what you can control and how you can care for yourself in the present moment. This forgiveness is not about excusing mistakes, but about accepting your human capacity to err and learning to nurture yourself through recovery. It transforms struggle into an opportunity for growth, reinforcing your intrinsic worth no matter the challenges faced. In practical terms, loving yourself on your worst days can be expressed through small, deliberate acts of care. This could mean allowing yourself to slow down, take a break, or engage in activities that soothe your spirit, like listening to calming music, journaling your feelings, or simply resting without guilt. It might also mean setting boundaries that protect your energy and prevent additional stress. Importantly, it involves rejecting any internalized messages that you must be perfect or constantly productive to deserve love. Instead, you affirm that you are enough just as you are, even when life feels overwhelming. These small acts accumulate to build a foundation of compassion that strengthens you for tomorrow's challenges. Loving yourself when everything feels broken also opens the door to deeper self-awareness. These moments reveal the areas where healing is most needed, inviting you to explore your inner world with curiosity rather than fear. When you hold space for your pain with love, you allow yourself to understand your needs and vulnerabilities more clearly. This self-knowledge becomes a compass guiding you toward healthier habits, supportive relationships, and meaningful goals aligned with your authentic self. The process is gradual and non-linear, but each step taken in self-love reinforces your resilience and capacity for joy, even amid life's uncertainties. Moreover, choosing to love yourself on your worst days helps dismantle harmful stigmas around emotional struggle and mental health. It challenges the notion that you must hide pain or appear strong at all times. By embracing your imperfections and struggles openly, you normalize vulnerability as a natural part of the human experience. This normalization fosters greater empathy within yourself and toward others who are also navigating their own difficult days. You build a community of understanding where kindness replaces judgment and where healing is prioritized over perfection. This collective shift can create a profound sense of belonging and reduce the isolation often felt during tough times. Ultimately, loving yourself on your worst days is the highest form of self-respect and radical self-acceptance. It means you are willing to be present for yourself, fully and unconditionally, regardless of circumstance or mood. This love is not fleeting or conditional, but steadfast and unwavering. It recognizes that your journey includes both light and shadow, and that both are worthy of care and attention. When you practice this kind of love, you cultivate a resilient heart that can withstand life's storms and a spirit that continues to hope and grow. It is a transformative commitment that honors your worth every single day, especially when it feels hardest to do so.